Hey everybody, welcome to Trash Talk episode number 2, and today we're talking trash all about tires. My name is Angie, I'm with the Connecticut River Conservancy, and I'm here with
Kathy Urfer, River Steward for Vermont and New Hampshire for Connecticut River Conservancy.
So for those who don't know, the Connecticut River Conservancy is a nonprofit environmental advocacy group. We work to protect the whole length of the Connecticut River, so that includes all of the river states, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. And the Source to Sea cleanup is one of the biggest things that we do to help keep our rivers clean. So thousands of volunteers join us every fall for the Source to Sea cleanup. This year it's going to be on September 28th and 29th, so come on out and join us. There's still time to get involved. If you visit ctriver.org/cleanup, you can find a map of groups to join. Just click the button that says join a group and you'll see a map of all of our registered groups. We've got over 80 groups registered so far, all up and down the watershed, so there's bound to be one near you. Look for the green pins on that map. They're the ones who are welcome to new volunteers joining them. If you click on that pin, you'll find all the information about where to go, who the group leader is and how to contact them, and they will welcome you and you can go clean up on September 28th and 29th. So today we're talking about tires.
Right.
And if you can see behind us, let's see.
A little hard
get
to
out of the way
see,
here a little
but
bit.
down this ravine here is a huge old tire dump that probably has 3,000 to 5,000 tires in it. And basically, how do these tires get here? Angie can talk a little bit about the history of this particular dump, but in general, tires are a huge problem in our environment, and we are finding with our Source to Sea cleanup that we are picking up tires every year in all kinds of different places because people are either dumping them because they don't want to make the proper choice and take them back, which right now you have to pay to take them back, right? Or you have haulers dumping them, or in some cases like this, which is a historic tire dump, people were trying to reuse them in a way to stabilize the bank here.
So Kathy, you're saying dumping like this is one way. Are there other ways that tires can end up in our rivers?
Yeah, I mean, anywhere, everything flows downstream. So generally, I mean, the most direct way is, people are dumping them and they're finding their way into the streams.
Do floods ever wash tires in?
That's part of the problem too, is that you have, if you have tires close to a floodplain or on a bank and you get a big flood, it might come up and then take a whole bunch of them and put them in the river, and then they're distributing them all over the place.
Okay.
This is a good example because this is right here at the confluence of the Green and Deerfield rivers, and if the water level came up here, it could easily take 150 of these tires out and dump it right in the river.
Last week, if you joined us for our first episode of Trash Talk, we were talking about plastic, and we talked about how storm drains and water flowing into a storm drain would carry trash and plastic to our rivers. Obviously, tires don't fit into storm drains, so dumping and flooding are some of the biggest ways that tires like this end up in our rivers. Did we talk about why tires are a problem?
Well, they're unsightly, first of all, but the bigger problems really are several things. One, they're a fire hazard. They're made primarily from, oil products, and so when you have a big situation like this with a bunch of tires dumped in an area, it actually could be a fire hazard. They're breeding ground for mosquitoes.
Yeah, you might see us doing a little swatting here. There's a lot of mosquitoes.
And, they're essentially a blight on our landscape. And, there's a higher use, right? We could be reusing tires for better things than just dumping them into our environment.
Oh, that's really interesting. So how else could we be using tires?
Well, for one thing, a lot of the more commercial tires are retread. So, consumers, private consumers who have automobiles are often buying new tires every, maybe 5 years, 10 years, depending. And you could be buying retread tires, but right now we don't really have a market for that. There's a market for commercial retreads. So that's one way to kind of reuse it, recycle it. A lot of that rubber in used tires then can be recycled into new tires. So that's one option. There are places where tires-derived fuel, right, where tires are being used as an energy source, and essentially the oil in the tires, right, is being burned
Right.
instead of oil.
And tire-derived fuel, that's actually what most of our waste tires go to right now. So they get gathered up and trucked out of the whole region. They get taken, most of them go to Maine, where they get burned there for fuel.
Yeah, and the part of the issue with that is we don't have enough markets for reusing tires. So when you think of it from a systems perspective, this is a waste source that is consistently creating more and more waste, and we need to create opportunities and markets for these tires to be reused in beneficial ways.
Right, so reusing, retreading tires. We can also be using tires, we can break them down into bits and use those little bits in things like building roads or highways, construction projects like homes or other buildings can use some of this tire waste. But we need to create the market for that, and so that's part of what we're doing. Before we talk more about solutions to tires, because we're not just talking problems, people, we're talking about solutions. We're here to solve these problems. I wanted to give you a little bit of background about this tire dump here. So, as Kathy noted, this is at the confluence where the Green Rivers and the Deerfield Rivers meet, right before they enter the Connecticut River here in Greenfield, Massachusetts. And this tire dump was reported to us by a volunteer of ours who was paddling down the river and just happened to come across this massive tire dump. They reported it to us back in about 2014, we think. And we've been working on cleaning this tire dump up for multiple years. This will be our third year of coming out here to clean this tire dump up. We've taken out about 800 tires per year so far. So that's about 1,600 tires taken out of here. And if you can see, there's still so many more left to go. So this will be our third year this fall. And we have to give a big shout out to Lane Construction. They have been amazing partners in working with us. They bring their volunteers, their employees come out and volunteer for the day. They lend their big equipment to the job, and we load up the trucks and we cart them out of here. We clean them off, and this is a really cool part. We recycle them. So we call up Bridgestone Tires. They have a tire program where they take back tires as part of river cleanups. They've been a great partner to us over the years. It's called the Tires Forward program. So that's another example of companies doing the right thing voluntarily, and we want to see more of that. So look up Bridgestone Tires Forward program if you have some tires that you are pulling out of the river as part of your cleanup, and they'll take them back and recycle them. So we've been working here for a few years, and we're going to keep working on them. So far, we've only been taking out the tires that are sitting on top, the surface level tires. They're not embedded in the ground. Once we get to that point, and we don't know how long it's going to take to get to that point, but once we get there, then we'll reevaluate for those tires that are kind of buried in the ground. What do we do? Do we leave them? That might keep the bank stabilized. Do we pull them out? That might destabilize the bank, but we could plant some trees. So we'll have to evaluate that when we get to that point. So that's what's happening here at this tire dump. We also have tire dump up in Brattleboro that we'll be working on this year as well. And if you know of dumps like this, let us know, because we want to get this stuff out of here so that we can have clean and healthy rivers. But solutions, right? We're here to talk about solutions. So we talked a little bit about how we can reuse our tires, but really we want to, all those things that we talked about, that tire-derived fuel, the recycling and retreading, the reuse of them in roads or other construction projects, that can't happen when they're sitting here. So we want to make sure that tires never end up here, either in dumps like this, or even just those 1 or 2 tires that you might find during your cleanup. They're not doing anybody any good by sitting in the river. So what we have been working on is we want to encourage government and businesses and manufacturers to take a step before things even end up like this. So for tires in particular, we want legislators to work on passing legislation. It's called Extended Producer Responsibility, and we'll talk a little bit more about what that means. But we want legislators to pass this at the state level so that it'll keep tires like this out of here. And then we want manufacturers, what Extended Producer Responsibility means is that manufacturers take a bigger role in taking back for free the tires and reusing them and putting them to those bigger, higher, better purposes. So would you want to talk a little bit more about EPR? It's known as EPR, that's the acronym.
So Extended Producer Responsibility basically means that from the perspective of a business that is producing something, that they take responsibility for the waste stream of their product, right? more and more we have sustainable businesses that are making ecological choices. And what we want to see is that the tire manufacturers do this as well, right? Let's find our way to actually being responsible for the whole product, right? From beginning to end, including the afterlife of the product. So in Vermont and Connecticut, we have tried now twice to pass some legislation on the statewide level to introduce extended producer responsibility programs in the states. Both the European Union and Canada have extended producer responsibility that have been running for, you know, about 10 years, 8 to 10 years, and in those cases it has almost completely gotten rid of illegal tire dumping, because what it does is it helps to create the markets for recycling tires and reusing that rubber, and it sets up a system to keep track of the tires and to make sure that those tires are being funneled into a reuse mechanism. And that might look different in different states, but basically it's finding the solution for where these tires might go. So part of what CRC is working on over the next several years probably will be educating people about extended producer responsibility and helping our legislators understand that this is a good way to go for our states. It'll save money, it'll create jobs, and it will help our environment. That's
Absolutely.
The bottom line.
We do have some extended producer responsibility that is happening in the region. In Connecticut, for example, they have passed this program for mattresses. So mattresses are another big thing that sometimes we find out near our rivers. But that's been a way to take them back for free. And I think that for free is a really important part of this, because right now when you've got to get rid of your waste tires, you got to take them to the dump and you got to pay a fee to do that. And what that does is it passes the burden of proper responsible disposal, thank you, of the tires onto the consumers. And so and if you can't pay that or don't want to pay that, this is what happens, they get dumped. So having a free program to take these tires back removes the incentive to dump these things in our rivers. So we, as Kathy mentioned, we're going to be working with legislators and tire manufacturers to get this kind of legislation passed in our river states, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, and Connecticut.
And another part of the Source to Sea cleanup this year is we're actually going to be collecting data on the tires, right? So we are hearing from the tire manufacturers that nobody is dumping tires anymore, and we know that that is not true. So when our river cleanup groups go out this year, we're going to ask them if they find tires to actually identify the manufacture date on the sidewall of the tire and collect that information for us, so we can get some more information about, you know, the demographics of tires, how old they are, where they're dumped, you know.
Yeah, are they new or are they old? Let's crack the code. So if you want to find out how to date a tire and whether they like to go to the movie theater or go to dinner.
Yeah.
Oh, not that kind of dating. Okay, all right. If you want to figure out how to find the age of a tire, when it was manufactured, you can head to our website and there's a video there about how to do it. Kathy and another of our river stewards, Alicia, made this really great video showing you all about it. Just visit ctriver.org/cleanup and there's a button there that says how to age a tire, I believe.
Because we were not going to date the tire. We are going to divorce the tire.
That's right. Get them out of here. So obviously we want you to come on out, join us for the cleanup this year, September 28th and 29th. Go to ctriver.org/cleanup to figure out where to go and how to join us. But there's more this year. We want you beyond the cleanup. Pick up trash and then go beyond. Take some next steps. So if you visit ctriver.org/takeaction, there's some more actions there. You can join us in telling government, manufacturers, and businesses to do their part. We've been out here, and you've been out here as volunteers for 22 years now, cleaning up this junk. We've been doing our part. It's time for them to do their part. So join us in telling them to do that by signing our petition. We'll take that petition to decision makers and we'll show them that there is strong support from their customers and their constituents to do the right thing. You can also show the problem. So if you're out here cleaning up our rivers and you come across tires, take some pictures of those tires. You can submit them to our photo contest. You might win some good prizes. I wish I could win some of those prizes. But you could win some of those prizes. We'll also use those pictures along with the petition to show decision makers exactly what our rivers full of tires and trash look like. Because sometimes it can be hard to picture that. You might not believe it until you see it. So help us show the problem. You can find the video of how to age a tire there as well. And you can also join us for some trash talk events that are happening after the cleanup. We're going to be holding one a week in October of this year. We're going to have one in every single state, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. They're trash talk events. So this is our trash talk video, but you can come talk to us in person at one of these events. Come talk to Kathy. She wants to come see you. Let's talk trash face to face. So you can head to our website, ctriver.org/takeaction, and RSVP there. You'll find out where and when those events are going to be held. Anything else, Kathy?
Hashtag
Tired of tires. Yeah, share those photos and use that hashtag. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us for our episode number 2 of our Trash Talk video series. Come visit us again next week right here on Facebook on Wednesday at 1:30. We are going to be talking about styrofoam next week, so come out and join us then. Thanks.
Thanks.
See ya.